Live from the NJ.com studio comes the only weekly TV podcast you'll need, where a lofty critic squares off with an obsessed superfan on everything from highbrow drama to lowbrow reality. The cocktail shaker is ready. Prepare for your TV hangover. Now, your hosts, Vicki Hyman and Erin Medley.
Hello and welcome to TV Hangover. This is Erin Medley and I'm here alongside Vicki Hyman. Vicki.
Hi everybody.
We are going to talk a lot of TV today. We're racing toward the end of the regular TV season, if you will. Lots of finales coming up, penultimate episodes. We're going to talk about the third episode of Game of Thrones, the penultimate episode of Quantico, the Good Wife finale, which a lot of people have discussed and there are some mixed feelings about. But Vicki, the thing that I've been doing for at least 5 or 6 weeks at this point is catching up on The Walking Dead.
It's so funny you should mention that, because you've been coming over and talking to me about it so much, and I've been reminiscing that I had a dream last night where I was in The Walking Dead and I was killing zombies, and it turns out that killing zombies is a lot harder than it looks. Like, it takes a lot of effort to stick that screwdriver into the eyeball. And I was trying so hard, and I think I tried through the skull and it was too hard, so I went through the eye finally, but my arm was hurting me when I woke up.
I am so glad that you brought this up, because that is one of my problems with the show. Or maybe it's just zombie killing in general. I don't know. This is the only thing I've ever watched in my entire life that involves zombies. If you have a knife and you need to stick it through the skull, you have to have tremendous arm strength. It's not just like a little, stab here.
To be fair, some of these zombies by this point are pretty far gone, and so yes, I guess the bones have weakened a little bit. I'm not really sure. I mean, actually, I think it takes a long time for that to happen for bones. But you got to find the right spot.
Right.
I think actually with Fear of the Walking Dead, with the zombies being fresher and all, it's probably a lot harder to kill those.
Mm-hmm. Well, I haven't watched that yet. And then my other thought was, these zombies are really bloody. And I'm like, well, as a zombie, your heart's not beating.
Oh, do you want to get started on this? Because I can talk about this all day long. I mean, they shouldn't even be walking upright because you need blood to oxygenate the muscles, so they shouldn't even be walking, people.
I think we're too... We're too intelligent for zombies.
No, I'm still enjoying the show, but it
I
always
enjoy it as well.
me.
But yeah, these things
I would
bother
like to see a zombie show that really seems to work on a scientific level.
It'd probably be way less interesting.
Probably.
So I'm on season 5, episode, I want to say 6.
You're past Terminus.
I'm past Terminus, which was like blink your eyes.
I know. Erin had texted me saying, "Why didn't you tell me Simon from Quantico was on The Walking Dead?" And I'm like, "Well, keep watching and you'll understand why." Because he was there for half an episode,
maybe 20 minutes max.
Yeah, Terminus
total.
was way too fast. I was really looking forward to Terminus,
and I couldn't believe the whole zombie aspect. And then they zoom. Oh, spoiler alert! And then they.
Thank you.
My bad. And then they zoom out, and you see that they've chopped off Bob's leg, and they're eating it like, some good old Popeye's chicken.
It's actually a really good scene from the comics.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Well, okay, so at this point, again, spoiler alert, Bob has died because he had been bitten by a zombie in another scene. And Carol and Daryl are on a mission to find Beth, who's being held in the hospital in Atlanta.
I didn't like that subplot either.
And at this point, Carol has now been kidnapped by the same crazies in the hospital that Beth was kidnapped by. And Rick is a killing machine, just killing people.
That's fine.
I mean, Carol's also a killing machine. They work well together. And then we haven't figured out what's going on with the priest. Or the preacher.
Yeah, he should have been gone a long time ago.
He's kind of annoying.
Yeah, and he's like, well, I can't exactly remember when things happen, so I don't want to discuss it anymore and ruin it for you. But Erin's catching up on The Walking Dead. Very exciting.
Guys, I am. And also, if you can tell me how to catch up on season 6 once I'm done with season 5, that would be appreciated. You can tweet us at TV Hangover Show, at E_meds, or at Vicki Hy, VICKIHY. What am I going to do when I finish season 5? And
I have 2 words for you. Breaking Bad.
No,
I'm actually watching it for the second time now. I watched it going through, and I loved it. And after Better Call Saul ended for the season, I was like, I think I want to go back and recall what I can about Saul, Jimmy McGill.
It's not happening,
and I'm loving it. Well, you said The Walking Dead wasn't happening. So you got to give it more of a chance.
But there's a difference between The Walking Dead and Breaking Bad. The difference being that I have watched season 1 and part of season 2 of Breaking Bad, and I do not like it. So I'm not happening. Next show,
Hulu, The Path. There we go.
Okay, I'll watch that.
I'm
That's
enjoying
the one
that.
about like the Scientology-esque cult.
The Scientology-esque cult with Hugh Dancy. It's great. I think we're on Hulu does a slightly different model where you can't binge watch it. There's an episode every week. But at this point, you can binge watch the first 5 episodes.
Yeah, so that's fine. We'll see. Do I have to pay for a subscription?
I think you do.
You know how that goes. That means I'd have to cancel Netflix.
It does. Cancel Netflix for a month and then go back.
Because I'll have to go back to Netflix when Orange is the New Black comes out.
That's true.
Because I have to watch that.
Ooh, news. Did you see the photo of Laverne Cox as Frankenfurter in Fox's Rocky Horror Picture Show remake? It's pretty awesome.
Is it?
Yeah, they just released it today.
Okay, I'm going to have to look. Oh, you know what? I heard about some other TV musical that I wanted to talk to you about, and now I can't remember which one it... Oh, they're doing Hairspray? Wait, not Hairspray. Wait, is Hairspray the one with You Can't Stop the Beat?
Yes. Good Morning, Baltimore.
Yes. And Jennifer Hudson is starring in it, which, by the way, side note, let's take a tangent here for a second.
As Tracy Turnblad?
No, as Mama...
the Queen Latifah role?
Yes.
Mama Morton. That's Chicago.
Yeah. No.
Yes.
Wait, yes, but no. Queen Latifah was also in Hairspray.
Yes, she was.
Who is it?
I can't remember the
Mother
name.
Mabel. Mobley.
May Mobley? I don't remember.
I don't know. Someone. It was terrible. But speaking of Hairspray, did you hear the controversy? Tony nominations came out last week. Mm-hmm. And Jennifer Hudson was so upset that she was snubbed for her performance in The Color Purple, which I've seen. Have you seen?
I have not seen it.
No. Okay.
She played Shug Avery, right?
Yes. And she thought she had been snubbed and that they were solely using her for her celebrity. I mean, look.
Audra McDonald didn't get nominated, and the woman has 6 Tonys. Sometimes you just don't get nominated.
Right, and sometimes a snub is not a snub. Like, maybe you just didn't deserve to be nominated. I saw The Color Purple. I also saw Dreamgirls. And if we're all being honest here, Jennifer Hudson is not a great actress.
She's not a great actress. I saw Sex in the City.
Oh,
she was dreadful in Sex in the City. She's a wonderful singer, though.
That is absolutely correct. So you can be one without being the other. And the last time I checked, the Tony Award is for both singing and acting. And if you can only do one, you don't get nominated. That was my tangent.
Okay.
All right. So, Vicki, it's pilot season.
Pilot season is almost over.
Well, yes. The networks are going to order their series. It's upfront season, I guess, is a better way to put it. Where all of the networks will present their new shows to advertisers and to the public. Mm-hmm. And so you and I have gone through the list of all of the pilots that each network had. They didn't pick them up. How would you say that? They've ordered these pilots.
They ordered the pilots. And actually, over the last couple of days since I gave you this assignment, Erin, tell me which ones you like. ABC has already picked up a few. I think Fox has picked up a few. So some of the ones that I'm talking about today were actually picked up already. And then everything goes on the dung heap of, TV sitcoms.
I know. And they order so many pilots.
They do.
And then they only pick up, 5 or 6?
7, 8 sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. So all we have are the names of the pilots and the log lines.
The log lines. Also, you can tell from who's cast in it, who's behind, who are the people behind it, have they done anything else we've liked, that sort of thing. Right. And it's also interesting because one of the things that we've been talking about a lot over the last year is all these remakes that are coming up and which ones are in development. And among the ones that look like they're going to get picked up are or if they haven't already, is Lethal Weapon, The Exorcist with Gina Davis, MacGyver I think is still on the fence. And this is not something that's really a remake, but it's a property that's been around for a while. Archie Comics Riverdale. That's got a lot of good buzz behind it. 24 Legacy has already been picked up.
I have 2 words for you.
What?
Rush Hour.
Yes.
I have another 2 words for you. Minority Report.
Yes.
Continue.
You can keep going. Mm-hmm. Keep going.
The only one word I have for you is Limitless, and that one did okay. But otherwise, these are all not good ideas. The first one on this ABC list that I have here is called Chunk and Bean.
Chunk and Bean or Chuck and Bean?
No,
Is
Chunk.
Is it Chunk? Okay,
Yes.
sorry.
Chunk and Bean, a dual family comedy centered on the unlikely friendship of two misfits, Chunk and Bean, who benefit from having two very different sets of parents living next door to each other. This sounds terrible.
It just sounds like things we've seen like 20 times before in the last 5 seasons.
And the only reason that I put like this possibly could get picked up next to it is because it has a dumb name, and we know shows with dumb names usually do well. And it stars Anna Gunn and Adam Rodriguez, who I think is super cute. I mean, how do you not pick up a show with Adam Rodriguez? Am I right, ladies?
I like Anna Gunn.
I'm not right.
Because I'm watching Breaking Bad again.
Have you not seen Magic Mike?
I have. Okay. I have. He was not the one that stood out to me from Magic Mike.
Really?
Joe Manganiello.
Well, yes.
Come on.
Wait, did you see Magic Mike 2?
I mean, extra large? No.
Double XL?
No.
You did not?
No, I did not see it.
Did you know that they're opening a Magic Mike show at the Hard Rock Hotel in Las Vegas?
I have heard about that.
I'm very excited about this.
It'll make a lot of money.
It will make a lot. And they want, ladies, look, this is a plug for Magic Mike in Las Vegas. They want you to tell them what women like, and that's how they'll craft the show. So Google that.
Will they give me foot massages? Because that's really all I care about.
I bet you they would.
Really?
Instead of like a lap dance, you want a foot massage?
Oh my God, I would so much prefer
I am with you. That is a
massage.
good idea. I know which website I'm headed to after this podcast. So Vicki, tell me some of the shows that you think will be picked up that you like the sort of log lines for.
Well, I like the log line. I hope it gets picked up. It's called, the one drama I think I picked was The Jury on ABC.
I picked that one too.
Yeah. It's an anthology, which I always like these because I think you have, you have a beginning, middle, and end, and you don't have to drag it out. It doesn't have to be 22 episodes usually, so like those. But it also has a great cast with Archie Punjabi from The Good Wife and Jeremy Sisto, who was always good, except in that last thing he was in which he was terrible.
Who?
I think he was in Wicked City. Jeremy Sisto.
Oh, yes, it was
6
Wicked
Feet
City.
Under, yeah.
Yes.
And it's basically a behind-the-scenes anthology of a jury where you're actually in the jury room as their minds change, as new evidence is presented, like, 12 Angry Men kind of,
right.
Which it should be very character-driven, how your own personal, biases and whatever comes, play out in making this decision, but also it has a good procedural element too, I'm sure. I mean, like one season procedural.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to that. It's for ABC.
Well, I picked for an ABC comedy. My choices are a little different than Vicki's. Like, Vicki makes choices as a critic. I make choices as a fan who sees what mistakes networks always make, and here's one of them. I think they will pick up Toast, which is from writer Scott Foley from Scandal and Greg Grunberg from Heroes, from Felicity, from Alias, from everywhere. And the producers are Shonda Rhimes and Betsy Beers, so the Shondaland crew. And let me just read this log line so you can hear how terrible this is. Over the course of Max and Paige's wedding rehearsal dinner, their eclectic family and friends give toasts recalling anecdotes about the couple. But flashbacks reveal the toasts don't always get it right, as the comedy explores the real story of their complicated, funny, and relatable road to marriage.
So is the entire season set at the ceremony?
That was my thought.
See, those are so problematic. They did that last season. ABC had that half-hour comedy set one night in a club with
Oh, yeah, I remember that show.
Mixer. I don't even know what it was. It's Mixology. It's like, that is really tough to sustain. I mean, quite frankly, Quantico's kind of doing it now, where, because the future, the present is like over the course of, the first part of the season was over the course of like 1 or 2 days.
Right.
This part is over the course of a few days. Yeah, that's very difficult.
I mean, it sounds like a show that they will pick up.
Yeah, but
it's not going to last.
No,
it's going to be a show that will also be canceled.
Which can happen to Shonda because they're talking about not picking up the catch.
Oh my gosh! Can we again side tangent? Have you been watching The Catch?
I'm 2 episodes behind, so I'm continually 2 episodes behind.
I'll tell you where The Catch went wrong.
Okay.
When they brought in the brother of the main evil woman, who's not really that evil.
Sonia Walger?
Yeah, her brother.
I haven't gotten up to that yet. That's probably the next episode.
That's where it goes wrong.
Okay.
Because then it gets really dark. Because
it shouldn't be dark. That was the best thing about it.
He murders someone. Like, he just shoots her right in the head. And you're like, wait.
Is that the person that the Interpol guy thinks that Peter Krause murdered? Remember he told...
No.
Okay.
No. This is... Look, you watch it.
I'm sorry.
And we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it next week. I think that's what went wrong with the show. But next week we'll discuss what went wrong with the catch. All right, give me another show that you think will get picked up.
Okay, now we know how much TV is loving its superheroes right now.
Yeah.
They really haven't done much with superhero comedies, and they haven't done much with the DC universe. They're trying. Obviously, we have Supergirl on CBS,
which hasn't been picked up yet.
Hasn't been picked up and may actually move over to the CW, which would make a lot more sense.
And there could be more crossovers.
Yes. Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow. I hated Legends of Tomorrow. But anyway, I'm excited about this one. It's the first comedy series in DC Universe. It's called Powerless. And it is for NBC, I believe. And actually, NBC, I think, might have already picked this up, my notes say. But Vanessa Hudgens, who I have been loving since Grease. She was in Grease, right? That was her?
Yes, she was. Rizzo.
Plays Emily, who works for an insurance company that specializes in, quote, real people coverage against crime-fighting superheroes, which, because I am so incredibly pedantic, I always wonder about whenever I'm watching, like, when I watch Speed and the bus crashes into all these cars, I'm like, how do they explain that to their insurance adjusters? How are they going to get any money for that back?
So practical.
Yeah, so this is about, and of course I always wonder that every time I see, like, an Avengers movie. So she works for an insurance company that deals with cleaning up the messes after superheroes. So it's sort of like, I think, an Office, but set in this super-powered world. It's also with Danny Pudi from Community, and I can't pronounce this guy's name.
Alan Tudyk.
Thank you, from Firefly.
And it's a single-camera comedy, and it has not been picked up yet.
It has not been picked up.
Ordered to series.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that one looks like a lot of fun.
All right.
There's a lot of potential.
For my last one here, because we do want to talk about Game of Thrones and all that other good stuff, there's an Untitled Kevin James series.
Oh, just stop right now.
It's already been ordered.
Oh, God.
Already ordered.
Let me guess, he has a hot wife. He is hold on. He is lower middle class, 2 kids. And
you're wrong. It's a drama.
Okay.
A newly retired police officer looking forward to spending more quality time with his wife and 3 kids discovers he faces much tougher challenges at home than he ever did on the streets.
This is a drama?
This is a drama.
That doesn't make any sense. Are you sure?
It's under drama for... Because
it's an hour long? Is it a dramedy?
It doesn't say. It doesn't say, but it has been ordered, and I guess we will find out. Well, I'm always excited to see what the networks pick up.
I got one more.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I do.
We'll make it brief here so we can get to Game of Thrones.
Okay, very quickly. I love my time travel shows, and you know that there were like no fewer than 3 time travel pilots this season. There was Time After Time, which is the Kevin Williamson screen, based on what I think is like one of the best movies of the late 1970s, early 80s, about H.G. Wells, who is pals with Jack the Ripper but doesn't know he's Jack the Ripper, and they time travel forward to San Francisco where he has to stop, Jack the Ripper, who really likes this, swinging 70s scene in San Francisco. That's not the one I'm excited about.
Okay.
I'm also not excited. Oh, I'm sorry.
Get to the one you're excited about. We don't need the build-up here.
No, I want to say I'm also not so excited about Timeless, which is Back to the Future meets Mission Impossible from the guy who created Supernatural and Revolution, and Sean Ryan from The Shield. The one I'm excited about is the half-hour comedy from Fox called Making History, which is from the guys behind Last Man on Earth. So I think it's going to be very, very quirky. And it stars Adam Pally and Leighton Meester.
Leighton Meester, yes.
He plays a time-traveling nerd. She plays a colonial woman who I guess gets caught up in his various time travel adventures. I know that sounds like kind of like Bill and Ted.
It's a half-hour comedy?
Half-hour comedy, Bill and Ted, but with slightly smarter people and more attractive. Well, I can't say that, actually. Keanu Reeves is pretty hot. I'm excited about it. Sounds fun.
Sure.
Mostly, I'm excited because I really liked
Gossip Girl.
The Last Man on Earth. Even though I pretty much missed out this entire last season.
Yeah, I think you and the rest of the world. So, Vicki, Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
We had our third episode. Jon Snow's not dead.
Yes.
He came back. Everyone's thrilled to see him. And then he murdered some people.
He didn't murder people.
Okay, fine.
He executed them, and rightly so. What?
Right. Including Ollie.
Yes, who totally deserved it. He's such a little... Oh, I want to say the S word.
I didn't like the turn that Ollie took over the last
scowling
few years.
little turd.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
But
I hate Ollie. He killed Ygritte.
Ollie's dead.
Good.
Okay.
He was...
And then and let's just breeze through this, because I thought this was maybe... for me, the least interesting part of the episode.
Oh, okay.
Jon Snow's watch is over.
Has ended.
It has ended.
Which is perfectly fair, because the Night's Watch oath says they're going to serve until they die.
And
Jon
he did
died.
die.
That's good.
Right.
I'm okay with it. He hands off his cloak to Ed, and he's like, it's yours now.
Right.
Later.
Now, the only thing, and we sort of discussed this before, that annoyed me about that is Sansa's on her way.
I know.
To Castle Black.
It's very worrisome.
Are they going to cross paths? Because that's what this show does. It sends characters on these journeys to find another character, and then something happens. They either don't get to the place,
or the
they
person
get there.
is dead.
The person's dead.
Poor Arya. Her mother's dead. Her brother's dead. Her aunt's dead.
I can't. If someone in that Stark family, if they don't meet up at some point in this season, I'm going to be bothered.
I'm hoping that it's not the case, because I think it'd be great to see Brienne sort of join forces with somebody good like Jon, and they'll like start swashbuckling their way south.
Right.
I'm excited about that. I'm excited to see Jon out of the Night's Watch. Maybe he'll find a nice girl. I hope it's not Daenerys, who maybe
that's his
aunt.
sister.
No, his aunt. His aunt.
Right.
Daenerys
You're
his
right.
aunt.
Right. Well, speaking of Daenerys and the Targaryens, we had another Bran sort of, what do we call that? Time travel flashback, seeing into the past.
Well, it's called Green Sight, if you want to be very nerdy about it. But yes, it's a flashback.
In real life.
It's a flashback.
Okay. Not in Game of Thrones world. We saw the flashback where he is at...
Bran and the Green Seer are at the Tower of Joy.
Yes.
Actually, I want to bring something up here. So... basically, he did a flashback. He saw Ned Ned beat off one of Rhaegar Targaryen's strongest knights, Sir Arthur Dayne. Very exciting, great sword fight. And he's going up to the Tower of Joy. He hears a scream, which is presumably his sister Lyanna, who had either run off with or been kidnapped by Rhaegar Targaryen. My question is, when I'm watching this, I know all this background.
Right.
I know exactly what's going on. I know the theories. And I have this question because I had to explain to my husband and to one of my best friends what the hell was going on in that scene.
Okay.
Do the showrunners expect people to know what's really going on here because everybody is so up on, the mythology and the theories, or what is it like to watch this and not know what's going on, because they were totally clueless. I don't think they really enjoyed it.
I'm not sure what you're asking.
Okay, my husband and my friend did not know who those people... I mean, they figured it was Ned.
But they said it was Ned.
They said it was Ned, but they don't know the theory. You know the theory. Oh, you know the theory.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Rhaegar and Lyanna.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, that they may have run away together.
And that Lyanna is giving birth to Jon Snow in the tower.
Correct. But I put that all together.
Okay, well, they didn't.
Well, look, that says more about them.
No, I don't think so. I mean,
I would need to... I figured that's what was happening. And I don't know the backstory.
You don't know any of the backstory. You've never heard this theory before. I just mentioned it.
Oh, the theory that she was giving birth to Jon Snow. Oh, no, that theory I've heard before.
And you heard it because you read about things on the internet?
Not really. I don't read that much about Game of Thrones on the internet, but I have, and this is the argument that I was making last week, that Jon Snow was a Targaryen. They've been alluding to this since the beginning of the show.
They have been, but I think if you don't watch very carefully, or if you haven't read if you don't watch very carefully.
Well, I will say that could be the case, because Game of Thrones is a show I did not watch for the first 3 seasons. And so I binge watched them. Mm-hmm. And I think when you binge watch, it's easier for you to retain information.
I agree with that.
So maybe that's why.
So if you watch it and they're doling out little things here and there, and they've never shown Rhaegar, they've only mentioned Lyanna a few times, so you're just like... And when
in the beginning they mentioned her a lot. It seems like it was only a few times. I would say it was enough that you would remember if you binge watch. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it does seem like they only mentioned her a couple times.
So if you've been watching it going along, you're like la 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 la. It's like, what is going on here?
Right.
And is that? I mean, like, I'm just wondering if it works from that level. If I have two people who came up to me and like, what is going on there? Is it really working? Or do you have to pay attention to it? Because my argument is always like, the work should speak for itself and you shouldn't have to pay attention to what goes on outside.
That's true, but I do think Game of Thrones is a show where people like to read about theories, and even though I don't read a ton about Game of Thrones, I do come across some things, and one of the theories that I read the other day that I thought was super interesting, and you can tell me if this is a book thing, but in this scene with Bran and Ned Stark, Bran calls out his father's name, or he says father, something like that, and Ned turns around, like Ned in the flashback turns around thinking he heard something, and the theory goes that Bran is the one who is he's changing history by going into these flashbacks and making himself known, sort of. And you know, I don't know all of the details of the theory, but someone said, like, remember Bran's the one who set off the fight between the Starks and the Lannisters because he found Cersei and Jaime
stripping in the tower,
having sex as brother and sister. And then in this case, you know, they're saying if Ned could hear Bran call his name, in the future, will we get a flashback where Bran is with the Mad King? He sees the Mad King and maybe he tries to interfere or he tries to say something, and that is actually what causes the Mad King to go mad.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting theory.
Yeah.
First of all, I don't think this has been in the books at all, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, when I read Dance of Dragons, the last book, I read it in probably like 2 days, so I think I might have missed something. But I don't think they've gone that far in Dance of Dragons, so forgive me if I'm wrong. Don't think it's happened yet. But I have an issue with Bran changing history, because then I just don't like the idea of like rebooting something at this point. Like you can reboot Star Trek did that.
No, but let me.
But would you be changing history?
I don't think I said that
direction?
correctly. Let me say that. So it's very you like time travel, so it's very confusing. I don't mean that he's changing history, but like he has already influenced history, and we're seeing him in the present. But these things have already happened in the past.
I like to think that everything that he's learning is going to help him in the future, and you know, I don't really know what like storytelling purpose it serves to know like why King Aerys was mad. I think King Aerys was mad. The Mad King was because like centuries of inbreeding among the Targaryens.
Maybe. Well, the other theory I read is that the guy who Bran is with, what's his name again?
The Green Seer.
The Green Seer.
Max
that
von
the
Sydow.
Green Seer may actually be Bran.
Huh. I like that. I can live with that.
Yes.
And he's teaching his younger self.
Correct.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Okay,
We'll
I
see.
can live
What
with
do we
that.
know? What do we have 2 more seasons to go after this, so we'll figure it out. And then what were the other big storylines? Arya got her sight back.
Yeah.
Meh.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
We still haven't seen Littlefinger.
I still have not seen
missing.
Littlefinger.
Somebody needs to put out a "Where is Littlefinger" missing sign.
APB.
Absolutely.
When I was talking to my friend Lori about, like, explaining to her what was going on, she was like, yeah, we haven't seen, what's his name? Big Thumb. And I'm like, Littlefinger?
Oh.
Sorry. Okay, so going through, Cersei, Tommen finally, quote, sort of stood up to, the High Sparrow, and the High Sparrow ended up, like,
Sure.
yeah.
It was fine.
It was not like any like there weren't any like really huge bombs dropped except for like Jon Snow leaving the Night's Watch. But
Right.
It was a good episode. I'm still very happy with the season. Moving along.
I think even a mediocre episode of Game of Thrones is better than most
Sorry.
episodes of other shows.
Sorry, I sneezed.
That's fine. Bless you. All right. So moving on from Game of Thrones, talking about a show that is nowhere near as good as Game of Thrones on its best day, Quantico.
Except its pilot.
No,
It's pilot. I stand by its
disagree.
pilot. It's still great.
Look, I still stand by my initial assessment of the show that it was not going to be good. And it's not, but I'm still watching, so we're at episode 21.
So the joke is that I stopped watching and you are still watching. Okay.
Yes, because once I start, I want to finish. It's why I'm still watching The Family.
Okay, so I think we agree that the Quantico is just complicated, like, to the
Unnecessarily
1400th power.
complicated.
So the reason why I wanted to, I have to mention something, was that Erin told me, we should really talk about, like, who the terrorist is in Quantico. I'm like, well, I guess I'll have to, like, watch the last episode where we found out who it was. I knew who it was because I read Entertainment Weekly, because I'm like, I'm not going to bother watching this.
Right.
So I went last night and I started watching the episode, and I get to the end of the episode and we don't discover who it is. And I'm like, damn, I watched the wrong episode. So then I watched the next episode, and then it ends with a Shelby behind the wheel of the car. I'm like, damn, I didn't watch the right episode 2 times.
You watched 2 hours of the wrong.
2 hours of the wrong. So then I watched finally on fast forward the third episode of the night, which turned out to be the one where you find out that
Liam is a terrorist. Which, by the way,
or is he?
Or that's where I'm going. I don't think he is, and I'll tell you why. Because the way that they set up this show is that it was going to be one of the Quantico nets.
But did they? I was wondering about that. But haven't we been talking about maybe it's Miranda, maybe it's this
we
the whole
have
time?
Been.
So we've kind of like discarded that.
We did.
We discarded that.
However, we also saw. I don't even want to get into the show. It's so bad. They tried to do so many things with this show, and it just made it terrible. Now, has it been picked up for season 2? It has, right?
It has.
Oh,
I don't even know what they're going to do.
Hopefully, I don't know. Maybe they'll just blow it up, and no pun intended, and start over. New storyline, new cast.
There were so many terrible things about that. Like, I'm watching and going, oh my God. I mean, the fact that they have all these secrets that keep twisting on themselves, the fact that they are at once the best FBI agents in the world because apparently this group of 23-year-olds are the only people who can solve terrorism.
No, they're not 23.
Whatever. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
They're the only people that the FBI turns to solve the problems. I mean, last night we had like Nima barking, find out where Miranda is. And I'm like, you're going to listen to Nima?
Yes.
And at the same time, they're the worst FBI. They get eavesdropped upon all the time.
I agree.
I mean, they're just terrible people, and they wear
good.
way too much mascara.
They're too attractive to be FBI agents.
And why did Shelby, when she suddenly show up with all that black eyeliner?
I don't know.
She's evil Shelby.
Why are you asking me questions I don't have the answers to? It's not as though I've watched 21 episodes of this show and still have no idea what the hell's going on. I just don't. But
it's a terrible show,
a good show.
I apologize. I apologize for ever recommending it in the first place.
But here's the real question. Will I watch season 2?
Are you going to watch season 2?
Probably.
Why?
Because I need to know how bad it can really get. Maybe it'll get better. Because as I've pointed out, and though it has not premiered, I watched the season premiere of the new season of Secrets and Lies, a program which I watched the entire first season of.
Which was terrible.
And that was terrible.
In much the same way.
In very much the same way. But I watched the premiere of season 2, and I think it's better.
Anthology, right?
Yes, different.
There you go.
The only continuous
what I was
thread
talking about
is
before.
What's her name?
Juliette Lewis.
Juliette Lewis.
Who was the worst thing about the first season?
She's
of the
better.
Show.
She's better. I just wanted to point that out. So Quantico season finale this Sunday on ABC. We will find out something or another. I'm not really sure.
We'll find out something.
What's happening?
It will end.
Thank God.
For the season.
Woof. Cannot wait. A show that ended on a somewhat controversial note, The Good Wife.
I watched the finale, and as our 3 loyal listeners know, The Good Wife began before I ever started, being a TV critic. So it's been on for, what is it, like
7 seasons.
7 seasons. So this is like several years before I took over. My husband did watch it, and so I would tune in and out. Like if I'm in the same room with him while he's watching it, I'd watch it. And I didn't know until last podcast that she had been with Chris Noth this entire time in public. That's why it's The Good Wife. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense, because why would she stick with this? I mean, it didn't make any sense at all. And then that's all I kept wondering about in this final episode. Mm-hmm. Why is she still with this lying, cheating, corrupt creep?
So for those of you who didn't watch, and hopefully if you're a fan of The Good Wife, you watched, but the synopsis is Peter Florrick was facing charges of evidence tampering, and he was going to go to jail, and Matthew Morrison was trying the case, a lawyer that we've only seen this season. And Alicia and the other partners at her firm were trying to get Peter off. That was really almost the entire finale is this legal case that, as a fan, I didn't care about. Don't care.
And as a person watching the show, is the case you're talking about anything that was, was significant along the course of the season? Was it interesting in any way?
Yeah, it was.
Was it interesting?
No. So it wasn't interesting, and it wasn't even the case throughout the entire season. I believe it was just like the second half of the season. And I really didn't care, but a couple of major things happened that I think the Kings, Robert and Michelle, did to appease fans. Will Gardner came back, and he was in some dream-like sequences, or I don't know.
He wasn't a ghost.
He wasn't a ghost.
He wasn't a ghost.
He wasn't a ghost. And what we realize,
there was no pottery involved.
No, and what Alicia comes to realize is that Will Gardner is the love of her life, and he always will be. And we all, as fans, we all knew that already. But then the question came down to whether or not she would choose Peter, her husband, or Jason, her boyfriend.
Why would she? Why is this even a thing?
About
why? Like, why would she? Well, of course, she should choose
Jason,
Jeffrey Dean Morgan,
or
Denny.
No
of course,
one.
she should choose Denny, or do the Jenny Garth I choose me. I'd be either fine with it, but it was such a ridiculous choice. There's no choice.
There is no choice. I agree. I have no idea what the Kings were thinking. Why all of a sudden, after I would say it's been a good 2 to 3 seasons where Peter Florrick and Alicia were not husband and wife. They may have slept together, let's be clear. There were times where they slept together.
And they were still supposedly married in the public eye.
Correct.
Although, did they even live together?
No.
So how did people not cotton on to this fact that the governor was not actually living with his wife?
I don't know.
And the wife was having sex with Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Well, that they wouldn't know. Then that was recent. That didn't last for a long time. But it's the whole premise was ridiculous that now all of a sudden Alicia is going to be the dutiful wife again and stick by Peter, and that he was even an option. He's not an option. It's not a choice. I don't know why that was played so prominently in this finale, and I think that was one of the bad things about it. The other...
Are we talking about the Christine Baranski
We're
thing?
going to talk about this.
Okay, so tell me very quickly what was the deal there?
Okay, so...
Christine Baranski and Gary Cole. I don't know their actual names on the show.
Diane and whatever her husband's name is.
Call him Gary Cole.
Yes. A couple of episodes ago, they alluded to an affair between Gary Cole and Megan Hilty, because I don't know her. From Smash, yes, whatever her character's name is. Because she was one of his students, and she's very attractive, and he was trying to sell his business to her for way under value. And he had asked, I'm going to call her Christine, asked Diane to look into it and make sure it was all on the up and up. Diane didn't know who the woman was until she came into the office and then saw how beautiful she was. And she was like, you're undervaluing your business by like $200,000, $300,000. And that's where you sort of get the seeds planted that maybe he's doing this because there's some other relationship.
One episode, several episodes ago.
One episode, and it was like 2 or 3 episodes ago. Mm-hmm. So very recent. It was like the Kings were racing to the finish. Yeah. They just tried to throw a bunch of crap in there.
Because they wanted to have this scene at the very end.
Because they wanted to have this scene in the Good Wife finale where Alicia tells Luca to like really go for the jugular.
Because Gary Cole is testifying at this trial.
And he knows... look, the legal case doesn't matter, but it turns out that like they found the bullets that they thought Peter hid, and the bullets were the ones that were used to murder. So who cares? But anyway, he knew this, and so he was on the stand, and Alicia tells Luca, like, go for the jugular. We need to win. Again, Alicia trying really hard to defend this husband of hers that she doesn't care about, or we believe she didn't care about, who's probably a criminal, who probably did hide the evidence. And so Luca goes up there and asks him if he had an affair with Megan Hilty. And he does not respond. We see Diane get up, turn, and walk out the courtroom.
No, I think he admits it.
No, he didn't.
Oh, I think he did.
No, he didn't.
I think I watched it twice.
You can watch it again. He did not.
Okay. Regardless, it comes out that he may have had an affair. I really do think he admitted it.
He didn't. That was the whole thing, is that he didn't admit it. Diane got up and left.
One of us will issue a retraction next week.
Vicki will issue a retraction on Twitter immediately following this broadcast. And so at the end of the episode, we'll fast forward. Peter, he agrees to the plea deal.
Actually, doesn't get any prison time at all.
Oh, that's right. You're right. That part, you're correct. He doesn't get any prison time at all.
Correct.
That one thing Vicki got right. And, you see Alicia stand by him. It's reminiscent of the pilot where, she stands by her man after he admits an affair. They're at the podium together. He says, my wife, blah, 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 blah. She turns to her right. She sees a figure standing in the doorway. Looks like Jeffrey Dean Morgan. And, she runs after him.
Walks off the podium.
Swiftly.
As Chris Noth is trying to grab her hand.
As he's trying to grab her hand, she gets to the hallway and there's no one there. Or she sees a figure turn a corner down the hallway. She goes down there it's not Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
It's a cater waiter.
A cater waiter. And as she's turning to walk back down through the tunnel, which is, again, a throwback to the pilot episode, Diane approaches her, and she goes to say something to her, like everything is just fine, you know, like we eviscerated your husband and your relationship on the stand, and now everything's cool. And Diane slaps the bejesus out of her, like hard. And I thought it was shocking. And Vicki, you're an occasional watcher, so didn't you say to me, like, oh, this ruined their friendship, or weren't they friends? Didn't you?
I mean, I thought that they were, certainly friendly.
And I said they were never friends, and I don't think they were ever really friendly. They used each other for business purposes only, and I don't really think they liked one another.
Okay.
So it was fine. Their friendship, their whatever relationship they had is clearly over and not a problem. And so that ending, we don't see Jason again.
She just straightens herself
up and walks down the hall. And that was the controversy that the Kings had to address. And they did so on CBS.com. And here's what they had to say.
To talk about the end of the series is probably to talk about the beginning of the series, because we started with this feeling that it should begin with a slap and end with a slap. This show is about a woman who becomes more and more confident and more cunning and excited about her abilities and also about power. So that slap at the end is very similar to the slap at the beginning. And we'd always had this idea of Alicia becoming more and more of something that she also was not liking in her husband.
We had talked about that the victim becomes the victimizer, and that's really the circle that we see of Alicia.
Michelle?
I called BS on that.
I don't have skin in the game. I wasn't watching it, and so I can't come to it as a fan who's disappointed by it. I think that's fair. I mean, I like the whole arc, the Walter White Heisenberg arc. I like it, everything. I just felt like, from being a casual viewer, that they had to throw so much stuff at the wall to make that happen.
That is correct. And as a casual viewer, you were absolutely correct. You cannot turn a beloved character into an anti-hero in the final season in 3 episodes. And I would say 1 episode, and that was the finale. And to think that now Alicia is the victimizer, when she told Luca to go after Gary Cole's character, that's not something that she would do. I don't care if her and Diane weren't the best of friends. They were about to start a firm together, an all-female firm, and I find that so unbelievable, and I think they just really tried hard to do something spectacular and different, and I didn't like it at all.
I mean, one thing that I did like is the sort of the woman on woman tension there, and that usually women are either just like really catty or they're best friends, and there's kind of like nothing in between. And so I liked the physical act of violence from a woman to a woman. I thought that was very interesting. I could totally see it happening too.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's like if you have to do so much to get to that point, then you should have started working on that a couple of seasons ago.
Way too much maneuvering, and I do think
the show was going to end at some point.
Right, and I think, and they knew the show was going to end like 6 months ago. And I do think that there was too much of an emphasis on this case, even though it involved Peter. And I'm like, what? I'm not even sure what's going on. And that lasted for a good chunk of the season. So The Good Wife ended on what I thought was a disappointing note, but you can't love everything. Vicki, this is another show.
There's
in the
more?
books.
I'm sorry.
We're gonna do another show next week.
Oh no! I thought you were talking about another show this episode. I'm like, I'm not prepared for anything else.
We're done.
Okay.
With episode 34 of TV Hangover podcast. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at TV Hangover Show, at @E_meds, at Vicki Hy, VICKIHY. Like us on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spreaker, everywhere you are, we are, and send us emails, people. TV Hangover Show at NJ@advancedmedia.com. We'll see you next week.